What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you. Back on FantasyPros with a 12-team full PPR mock where we will be drafting 6th overall, smack dab in the middle of it all. Should be pretty interesting. Our roster, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and then 5 bench spots. But that's pretty much it. So let's get into it. And while we wait for this thing to load, a quick reminder, if you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section your thoughts along with any other questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's dive into it. Before getting into our breakdown, I want to highlight the sponsor of today's video, OddsJam. OddsJam continues to be the place that I use for all of my sports betting research, from the NFL, NBA, MLB, to daily fantasy and everything in between. But don't just take my word for it. Let me show you firsthand all the amazing tools OddsJam has to offer. Starting with their positive EV tool, which identifies situations where a single sportsbook has mispriced their line compared to the rest of the market. They're basically willing to pay a lot more so that you bet with them compared to the other sportsbook. At the end of the day, you're getting the best odds, essentially a mathematical edge and guaranteed money in the long run. But also available is OddsJam's arbitrage tool, which shows situations where the market is so mispriced that you can bet on both sides and guarantee a risk-free return. OddsJam's calculators show you exactly how much you have to bet on the over and under and what the respective guaranteed risk-free return would be. There's also OddsJam's Sportsbook tool, which consolidates all available market info, over 200 sportsbooks, and provides updates in real time and allows you to see line movement. But my personal favorite is their Fantasy Optimizer tool, which is great for those using PrizePicks, Underdogs, or other daily fantasy sites, as you get to see discrepancies between all of these sportsbooks. Imagine, PrizePicks has a Patrick Mahomes line at 200.5 passing yards, and all other books like FanDuel and Underdog have this line at 230 passing yards. Well, getting the over 200.5 on PrizePicks would be an absolute steal. Guess what? OddsJam does that for you. And the good news is, if you sign up today and use our code PIGSKIN, check the link and promo code in the description of this video, you will get 25% off your first month. OddsJam also has a 7-day free trial, so you get to try before you buy. So don't waste any more time and sign up for OddsJam using our code PIGSKIN today. Now, we are on the clock, 6th pick overall, and this has got to be the easiest decision I have had to make because there was a huge run on wide receivers with the first 5 picks. Only one selection was a running back. Justin Jefferson, McCaffrey at the 102, then Kupp, Tyreek, Jamar Chase. If I'm picking 6th overall and this is how the draft begins, I would be ecstatic. I would be absolutely over the moon because to me, we get Austin Ekeler, who is arguably, worthy of the 101, arguably the RB1 overall. I'm not even thinking about Travis Kelce. We are going Austin Ekeler here in what I think is the best absolute value without a question. Now let's see what happens at the end of the first and then start of the second. Saquon and Barkley afterwards, sure. Travis Kelce, Bijan. I'm glad that, in this mock that Saquon and Bijan are first overall, or first rounders, I should say. I think that's more accurate with how they should be slotted. Then Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Nick Chubb, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Jahmyr Gibbs at the 204. That's real early for him. I do not like that. That is one we have to call out there. And probably the reason why we have Tony Pollard available to us, which again makes my selection a lot easier here. But, I'm not going to apologize for the players that we have at our disposal. Amon-Ra, Derrick Henry went afterwards. Here, if I have the option to start with Ekeler and Tony Pollard, I'm going to do that 10 times out of 10. And just like that, we have our running back position absolutely secured. Now, let's see what happens in this 3rd round. T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle, Debo, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Olave to finish off the 2nd. Jonathan Taylor, huge run on running backs in the 3rd. Taylor, Jacobs, Ramondre, Joe Mixon, and Keenan Allen at the 305. Would have loved Keenan Allen. We don't get him. That's all right. I want to mention Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs falling to the 301 and the 302 here. Again, obviously that's because of the contract situation, but I think that's tremendous value for both of them at that point in time because to me, they are going to end up playing the full or the majority of the season. Let's just ensure ourselves a little bit there by saying that. Here, we got to go with a wide receiver, right? Either Devonta Smith or maybe a Calvin Ridley. Look, I'm not the biggest Devonta Smith fan. I would rather go with Calvin Ridley. I think that Jacksonville offense is going to be more pass heavy. I think that Calvin Ridley is the number one on his team as opposed to A.J. Brown over Devonta Smith. So I'm going Calvin Ridley, and then we will figure out the rest in the 4th round. Looking at the draft board right now, after we went with Ridley, Najee, Devonta Smith, Breece Hall, Aaron Jones, Josh Allen, Mark Andrews, Travis Etienne, DK Metcalf, Jalen Hurts lasts all the way until the 4th round. Again, this is the premier example of why you do not draft a tier 1 quarterback first, because Patrick Mahomes won at the 211. How many picks afterwards? 13, 14, 15 picks afterwards Jalen Hurts goes. Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper, Joe Burrow. Would have loved Amari Cooper to fall to us. That does not happen. We've gotten a little bit sniped here on some of these wide receivers we wanted to go with. Keenan Allen in the 3rd, Amari Cooper in the 4th. That's all right. I'm going to go with DJ Moore at this point in time. I like the upside, and, I think he's a solid wide receiver too. And more importantly, though, let's see what happens in the 5th round, because right now, after DJ Moore, we saw Lamar, Alexander Madison at the 409. That's earlier. His ADP is going up and up and up because people are realizing the Vikings haven't added another running back, and all of a sudden, what we were saying about Madison and the value is coming true and more true. And yeah, the ADP is only going to continue to rise. Godwin, Hawk, Herbert, Hopkins, Terry McLaurin, Rashad White, James Conner, Dameon Pierce. Would have loved James Conner in the 5th round. But again, I'm not super devastated because we have Eckler and Tony Pollard, for God's sakes. Miles Sanders, I think we can wait on him. Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence, I think one of those guys will be available to us in the 6th round if I had to guess. Maybe there's a run on the quarterback position. Who knows? I'm willing to risk it because right now, looking at the values here, Darren Waller, George Kittle, I think one of those guys getting a difference maker at the tight end position is pretty tempting. I'm going to give the edge to George Kittle. I just believe in him a little bit more so. Injury, not really all that severe. Groin injury, not too worried about it. If you want to go Darren Waller ahead of Kittle because he's healthier right now, sure, whatever. I won't blame you for it. So we go with George Kittle. Let's see Miles Sanders goes. There is a run on the quarterback position, unfortunately. So we miss out on Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. It's okay. I think that we can still get a solid quarterback in either a Deshaun, a Dak, or even good value later on. So right now, I'm just going to continue to load up on good value picks. I think right now, Alvin Kamara is, a guy that we'll start him out on the flex, but afterwards, or I should say we'll start him out on the bench, but afterwards, when his suspension is over, forget about it. I'm going Marquise Brown here. I love Marquise Brown. He's going to be our flex guy when Alvin Kamara comes back. A lot of flexibility for this roster. We've got a top-notch tight end, so I like how this went. I'd rather have the tight end positional advantage than the quarterback one because the drop-off ain't as large there. So we're okay. I think for quarterback, I can continue to wait. I'm looking at other, potential targets here. I really like Jahan Dotson now that Terry McLaurin is a little bit banged up. So I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson here. I think that's a good value. And then let's see what happens in this next round. I think we can potentially start looking at quarterbacks now. I mean, Dak Prescott is interesting. I really like Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to lie to you guys. So I would rather just go Aaron Rodgers a little bit later on. Other names here to know. Michael Thomas is intriguing, right? He's somebody that late round pick at this point in time. Not bad value. Looking at some of these other tight ends, Evan Ingram is still there. Gerald Everett. So we can get a backup to Kittle at some point in time. I don't love the running backs right now. You know, Jalen Warren, I do like him, but he's more so a handcuff for Najee Harris, in my opinion. So right now, I'll go with Michael Thomas. You know, let's continue to add wide receivers. I think the value is there. And then I think some quarterbacks might go off the board, but I'm perfectly fine with that because we'll still be able to get the guy that we were targeting, that being Aaron Rodgers. In fact, I bet we can go here. What we're going to do is we're going to get a backup tight end to Kittle, and then we are going to get 2 quarterbacks to finish this thing off. So the first quarterback I'm going to go with is probably, I'm trying to decide between Tua, Daniel Jones, and Anthony Richardson. I know my backup is going to be Aaron Rodgers, even though I think Aaron Rodgers can outproduce all of these guys. Let's go with the high upside Tua. Let's go with Tua here. And then Aaron Rodgers is going to be our next pick. And we're going to make one final selection at tight end. And we're going to wrap this thing up, I think, having crafted a pretty respectable and balanced roster here between Greg Dulcich, Sam Laporta. I've been a big fan of Laporta. I've made that clear before. With Greg Dulcich, I think he's cooling off a little bit, you know, with some of the additions that the Broncos had, former Saints staff, Saints players. So we're going to go with Laporta here, and let's see the draft grade that we get. I'm curious to see what it looks like. We get a B-. Honestly, I think that's pretty fair. Our running back position is A+. Eckler, Pollard, Kamara once he comes back, perfect. We waited on wide receivers, but afterwards we made up for it. We got Ridley, DJ Moore, who I think are very solid starters, but we got Marquise Brown, Jahan Dotson, Michael Thomas at quarterback, Tua and Aaron Rodgers. We got Kittle, a difference maker, and Laporta to back him up. I like this team, but hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.